Hey, music lovers, Sara J here. Looking for an inclusive space where you can connect with fellow fans, deep dive into your favorite music, and be a part of something special? Well, look no further. Join us on Patreon, where music and community come together. Get exclusive content, behind the scenes access, and a place to geek out over the artists you love, plus explore music you haven't heard yet. Come hang out with us. Patreon.com/DATC Media Company. That's patreon.com/DATC Media Company. See you there. A member of the DATC Media family.
Definitely.
All right, so let's talk about the Jake Blade.
Yeah.
So, talk to me about how it first even came on your radar.
Yeah, just seeing Humphreys. And I know I put this in my questionnaire. I forgot what the year it was. Maybe 2005, I want to say, was my first Humphreys show. Um, and yeah, I remember just like seeing these things and watching them use them, and I was like, "Oh, that's interesting. What the hell is that?" So,
Mm-hmm.
I don't remember if I had read an article about them or if I'd gotten to talk to them. I went to, a bunch of summer camp festivals and got to talk to Jake a handful of times. And yeah, I just thought it was a really cool thing, and like I'm always down to try new things. I have like a million pedals that aren't even on my board, like every guitar player just like loves a new toy. So when they I think like the first time they put them out, like this was before RoughGauge was like even a thing or anything. Like I think Mark Benjamin put them out through the Humphreys website, and so I emailed the merch people and was like, "Hey, I'm a lefty. Is there a way to like get one made?" And they just put me in touch with Mark, and through like a series of calls. He's like the nicest dude ever. He was like, "Yeah, like I can do this. I just need to know like, what the diameter was." And I like sent him like this carbon has has like a Wilkinson tremolo system in it. And so I was like, "Ah, well, this is what it is." And he was like, "I don't know if that's enough." And my whammy bar, which I have here because I could show you, it has this divot on the end, and then like is kind of like a smaller like little cylindrical part on the end. And I was like, yeah, it also kind of, yeah, if you want to see that more, yeah, I was like, okay, it also kind of has like a weird stuff going on the end of it. And so
So
he
crazy.
was, yeah, yeah. So I've never really like looked inside or looked into like what it looks like in there. I'm assuming this locks into something.
Yeah.
Um, so we just decided the best thing to do would be mail him my whammy bar, and he would make the end of the Jake blade just like it. And so that's what he did. And I got this like beautiful, one of a kind, custom left-handed tremolo Wilkinson tremolo Jake blade.
That's amazing.
Yeah, it's
And
great.
very on brand for Mark. I mean, I love the whole family very dearly. They have been amazing to not only work with for the past about 2 years. I've been working with them, but they've really welcomed me into their family. I'm the only person that works for the company that is not family.
Oh wow.
Yeah.
Mm.
And I'm also the only person that works for the company that isn't in Michigan.
Oh, hmm,
So
cool.
it's been really special to really form that bond with them and really be welcomed into their family.
Yeah.
Anyway, I mean, that's just such a very special thing. And Mark has become like a dad to me. He's the same age that my dad would be if he was still alive. And so he really has become kind of like a dad figure to me, which is really special.
Yeah, it's
Especially
beautiful.
being a single mom. So it's nice to have that,
Sure.
dad. And yeah, I just love the way that he interacts with all of the customers.
Mm,
And, hearing your story was just no surprise to me that he, wanted it and took it that extra mile and made it, exactly like the end of that one and did the whole thing. And I mean, it's really special. And that's what I tell people too with the Rough Gauge Jake Blade experience is it's not just buying a piece of gear or an accessory from a company.
mm.
It's an experience that, they want to know what guitar it's going to go on and what it's going to look like and all of those things. And I think that just makes it even more special, more unique of a thing. It's unique in itself, but then when you get like the whole story of everything, it's a really cool thing.
Yeah, yeah. Oh, that's beautiful. Yeah. Yeah, I mean he really went above and beyond for me and I'm like so happy with it. I mean it's on my guitar to this day. Every now and then I'll put the whammy bar back on and I'm like, what the hell do I do with this thing?
You've
And
listened to my other episodes. You know
yeah,
exactly how I feel about the look of the whammy bar. I do not mince words on this.
yeah.
Things that people know about Sara J. She doesn't like fish. She doesn't like the way the whammy bar looks on the guitar.
Yeah, I mean, and it's like it's almost like second nature in my playing sometimes now because I just know that it's there to like grab when when I just want like a little tremolo flutter. So I do find I'm not like, oh, where can I use the Jake blade? But it's like if I'm holding a chord or, pausing my solo, like any of that, like it's very much been like integrated into my playing on that guitar. And it's like written into a number of songs at this point that I like can't play on other guitars because like I don't have the effect of the Jake blade.
Yeah.
So it's like it's really, yeah, I mean it's a great tool and like feels great in your hand. Like and it flips up like easily if you want to mute the strings. And like sometimes, I mean, I'll just like grab it and I'll lift the guitar by it if I'm like really kind of just digging in or rocking out or whatever it is. So yeah, it's like it's a great little versatile tool, really is.
It really kind of goes along with what we were saying with minimal notes. You look at it and unless for a little while there, we're hoping to bring it back of offering dipped options for people to match
Mm,
their guitars and stuff. So
yeah.
we're in the works to bring that back because people really, really loved that option. But beyond that, I mean, it's a simple thing. It's just a silver thing that's in your guitar and it just sits there and whatever. But then when it starts to make noise, you're like, oh,
Yeah.
that thing is cool.
Yeah. And I
Don't
mean,
underestimate it.
yeah. And
I was going to say earlier, you were talking about all of these awesome musicians that you've had the opportunity to play with, and this guy, and whatever, and here and there. And I'm just thinking in my head, well, like finds like, energy meets
mhm,
energy. So
I appreciate
it's
that.
very obvious that you yourself are also an amazing player. I don't
Well,
doubt
thank
it.
you.
And I mean,
Thank you.
I've heard some of your stuff. So yes, I would agree with that statement. But when you were speaking about, oh, I've played with all these amazing people. Well, that's because you're amazing and you drew them to you. So
Thank you.
it's an
Thank you.
energetic thing for sure.
I
For sure.
mean, they all like elevate my playing too. Like I think things I'm going to an infinite drift practice after we talk and I could practice these songs like, a million times at home and there are things that are just going to come out when we're in the same room that aren't happening because those guys just like I mean, they uplift me in general, but musically especially. So, yeah.
Yeah, just all that energy in the room for sure.
Hmm.
I love it.
Yeah.
So, you're going to practice. So, speak to me about what you guys have going on. You mentioned new music is
Yeah.
on the way. So, what
Yeah.
else is coming up in the next couple of months?
Okay. Well, it's all a little vague because studio time's not booked yet,
All
and
right.
these things are these are all we're all hobbyist musicians, really, serious hobbyists. We all have regular non-music jobs. But in the
Such is the
infinite,
life of a musician.
yeah, sure. So in the yeah, in the Infinite Drift universe, we're working on getting more demos up on Bandcamp just to, have some more stuff out there. And then I do think at some point we will go and do like a proper studio recording, but our drummer's place where we practice is all like wired and mic'd up, so we're able to, really get like proper, mostly isolated. There's a little bit of bleed, but like mostly isolated recordings of each instrument. So sort of like live in the studio kind of feel. So we've got more stuff to work on in that. In fact, I think some of it's on me to lay down some guitar parts, but yeah. So more of that stuff will be coming up. And yeah, I mean that band is a couple gigs coming up. Nothing crazy. We're gonna play at my 40th birthday shindig for sure.
Nice.
It's all just a ruse to get people to see my band. um,
Listen, it is your party and you will do what you want to.
Damn right. Thank you. Thank you. And then Greasy Hands is cooking up a lot of stuff. So we do a pig roast every year. This will be the third this year, and by the time this is out, we will have announced that it's going to be Saturday, September 13th. So people within driving distance of Baltimore, check it out. And we got a great lineup. I'm really psyched. A lot of kind of like our local jammy friends. It's gonna be like a real nice day. A lot of shreddy stuff going on. So we are gonna finish mixing a live recording from the last pig roast. Actually, gonna be like about 5 or 6 songs, including a King Gizzard cover.
Nice.
And a Green Jelly cover, which I brought up before. They have that Three Little Pigs song, and I was pushing hard for that because I thought that would be perfect to cover at the pig roast. And
Totally.
we did, and our drummer like just slayed the vocals. He I don't know how to describe it. He gets real out there with the with like the growly kind of,
Hell yeah.
yeah, whatever it is, he's really good at it. Whatever the thing is that he does. So
Yeah.
we are, yeah, so hoping to get the live EP out within like the next month or so. Fingers crossed. Late June, early July, maybe. And then yeah, later in the year, I'd say probably in the fall, we are gonna go back into the studio. A lot of our practices right now are kind of revolving around working on new songs. So we're gonna have like a batch of new songs. Might even re-record some old songs. Greasy Hands doesn't have a lot of fresh recordings out there, which is why we're like definitely trying to put this live EP out. But there's like old songs that are, recorded 10 years ago at this point that have been like given very much new life by this current lineup. So we're working on some new stuff, but might put some spins on some old stuff and put that out. And then the pig roast, and then we're playing this great big Halloween shindig in Baltimore. A buddy of mine who used to be in this band called The Bridge that Chris Jacobs came from. Chris Jacobs is now out there kicking ass touring the world, opening for Little Feat this month. So the another member of his old band, Kenny Liner, throws this great big Halloween show at the Maryland Science Center. It is like my favorite party of the year. I've never missed a single one. I think it's been going on like got a good like 13 years at this point.
Oh.
And so he books a lot of bands, and a lot of them do, well, I think all of them actually do like tribute sets. So another band I was in did like a Foo Fighters tribute one year. We did a David Bowie tribute one year. We all dressed up like we were in Life Aquatic and like had some of like the clips like behind us. That was a lot of fun.
Nice.
So Greasy Hands is playing this year, and we're gonna do a Beck tribute. So
Oh,
that's
nice.
like the other thing. We're in the midst of refining the playlist and like learning a bunch of Beck tunes. So those will probably like work their way into like the gigs between now and then. But yeah, we're mostly gearing up for the pig roast in September, and working on new music. So it's a bit of a quiet summer for us, but I'd like to think it's because we're just pulling back the slingshot, you know?
For sure. Definitely. There's nothing wrong with having that moment where you're planting the seeds and
Yeah.
sowing the soil to grow some really righteous veggies. It
Yeah, hell yeah.
sounds like the Baltimore music scene and kind of surrounding areas
Yeah.
is really thriving, which is amazing just anyways, but especially in a post pandemic world with smaller bands that you are so associated with.
Mm, yeah.
That's really great to hear.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, there's we've lost some venues for sure. I think, I bet every city has, but Baltimore has like so I guess I'll start by saying the jam scene that Greasy Hands is a part of is alive and well here. And I have noticed like it seems like maybe over the last decade it was like maybe had fizzled out a bit, but there's so many young up and coming bands in the scene now that it's like really been like revitalized, and there's like a really nice community around it that has thankfully embraced us as we have embraced them. Um and but yeah, Baltimore has so many venues and like DIY spaces. DC's not too far. I wish the scenes were a little better connected. They're kind of not. If you're a DC band, it's hard to break into Baltimore and vice versa. I'm starting to see, it happens every now and then, but the cities are a little siloed from each other, and DC just is like a totally different animal. But it's good that we're so close, because like I feel like if there's a band touring that I really want to see them, like they'll either be in Baltimore, DC, or Philly. Like I never have to go like that far to see
True.
music, which is great. But Baltimore just has like I mean, we have like deep jazz history here. We have like I feel like half of P-Funk lives in Baltimore now. We have like a thriving hardcore scene. We have a metal scene. We have a punk scene. We have like there is a whole brand of Baltimore club music. We like truly have everything here, and everything has a space. And like I've been like lately kind of trying to like just stay with it and check into new spots. And I've gone to like a couple like kind of DIY like art gallery back bar kind of spaces, and just seen some like really cool, interesting like different music. And people show up for it. Like people are showing up. All these things I just mentioned. There's a community for it. There's a
Oh
crowd
yeah.
for it. I mean, this thing's probably gone a little viral, so you maybe have heard about this. But this past Saturday, this band Turnstile just played a free show in a park, like right near my old apartment, actually. That was a benefit for this organization called Healthcare for the Homeless, which is exactly what it sounds like. And like there were like probably like 5-6 thousand people in this park, and like I I don't spend much time in the hardcore scene, but it's
It's a
like
lot of people.
one of my favorite things I've ever done in Baltimore. For one, super cool crowd, everybody was safe, but there were just people like stage diving the entire time. And like it's like all everyone's been talking about like all week. It was a really cool thing, and that just like made me really happy to like be able to be here and like be a part of all the various like things happening in Baltimore. It was like yeah, it really gave me like the warm fuzzies about my city for sure.
For
um
sure. Well, and especially like a hardcore show anyways. That's a lot of people that are
yeah,
into that kind of music in one space.
yeah,
But then just to have that many people just doing a music thing in that, like that's very amazing.
yeah,
And even if that, hardcore music is not my scene, but I think something like that would still be really cool to go to just
yeah,
to observe other people in their community
yeah,
of
yeah,
like, okay, this is what does it for you, and that's really cool to see that
yeah.
that's
and
really
it was just like yeah, and they're a great band. I mean, they got some poppier songs too, so I think there's a little something for everybody there. Yeah, so it was yeah. And just to see like a band from Baltimore that's like done so well for themselves, like they opened an entire like Blink 182 arena tour, so like that's like super cool.
Definitely.
Yeah, and I got some of like my favorite photos I've ever taken, which I guess is the other thing we haven't talked about, that I also do concert photography and
Yep.
event photography, and that's all generally on my Instagram at Marc Shapiro Media. but but yeah, and that also kind of goes back to the jam scene, honestly. Like it was such an open world to me in college that like I realized like these publicists that I'm arranging interviews through or getting tickets through can get me photo passes. And so I bought like a little crappy point and shoot and just started taking it to shows, and you know, over time upgraded, and yeah, I've like really dug into concert photography. So I'm like either going to a show or playing a show or photographing a show like at least a handful of nights a week.
I love it. And
Yeah.
concert photography is, speaking as somebody who, my mom was a concert photographer, and I dabbled in a little bit with owning my own media company. But that was one of the things that I learned early on, that I wanted to outsource my concert photographers,
Yeah.
because the workload is so much, and I cannot sit there and keep looking at the same person 100 times and doing. I'm like, I'm so sick of looking at your face. Like, I literally cannot look at you ever again, because I've just looked at 900 photos of you
Sure.
in what, nobody else will notice that each shot is different,
Yeah. Yeah.
like,
Yeah.
it's
You get into a good groove with it, you
it's
know.
intense.
Yeah.
It's a tough gig. Concert photography is a tough gig. And
Yeah.
I mean, I can speak on this being a woman in the pit. It gets a little you know,
Hmm.
a little elbowy in there,
Yeah.
Gotta hold your own sometimes.
Yeah. 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 Yeah, it can be a grind. I'm doing, I think, less than I used to, but I'm just like trying to be more selective. I kind of like after the pandemic was running myself like a little ragged when the world like reopens, and then just was kind of like I very much felt the need to like scale it back and preserve my energy a bit more. So so I think I've gotten into like a better groove with it for sure. Yeah.
Why concert photography? Because you mentioned that you did journalism
Hmm.
in college as well.
Yeah.
So did you branch into also reviewing and writing about music, or was it
Mm.
just the concert photography that really caught your eye? And who inspired, what was the inspiration for the concert photography love?
Oh yeah, the writing came first really. I was yeah, so I studied journalism in college and like really didn't take any photography classes or anything. So I did want to like I think my dream was to like try to write for like Rolling Stone or something. Which takes a lot of work, and I
Which
don't know that in
now I don't know if I would want to work for them
Oh
anyways, but
yeah,
I
and I don't know that
digress.
in college I had like that serious of an idea of what it would actually like take to do that.
For
It
sure.
was maybe sometime in my mid to late 20s that I think I started taking like work a little more seriously.
For sure. All of us,
But
yeah,
yeah,
usually.
yeah. But yeah, so I was like for the college paper, I was like doing like, a lot of features about artists that were coming. That was like always the thing I like to do. I didn't write a ton of reviews because I feel like music is so subjective, and like I don't want to tell somebody like what to think or like how to interpret this music. I mean, I wrote a review of like one of the Chili Peppers albums, but that's like that was me more being like, I love this band, like won't you join me? you
For
know
sure. For
because it's
sure.
like I would never want to like review like a I don't know like a Britney Spears or a Taylor Swift record or something, because these are things that are like selling millions of copies that people clearly love, and
Hmm.
like if it's not for me, it's just not for me. I don't want to tell somebody else that it's not for them.
For
So
sure. For sure.
so yeah, and honestly in most music I can find something to grab onto anyway, but I digress. So I was writing like music features for the college paper, and again, it was just like I spent a lot of, I capitalized on this access, like especially in the summers of like just going to festivals and shows, and at some point was like, oh, I could get a photo pass and just start shooting, and I don't know, it just seemed like a cool thing to do, and like, I'm certainly a bit of a fanboy, and I was like, oh, this will put me right in front of the band. I can get even closer now, so I loved that, and like, to this day, I definitely, I shoot less shows than I used to, but even like to this day, I could be like at any show, and I'll see someone with a pass, and like a little bit of jealousy will like come up. I'm like, I should be shooting that,
I should be shooting this show.
and then it gets the best of me like every now and then, and and I'll like run myself a little ragged again, but yeah, it's fun, and I've gotten to shoot like a lot of iconic musicians. I mean, Willie Nelson played a summer camp one time, and
Yep, I was there.
I
Remember?
was there
Yep.
too. Oh man, I had a crappy little camera, but I still got some usable shots. And yeah, like I photographed Tom Petty a couple times. I
Cool.
photographed Kiss on their farewell tour when it came through Baltimore.
That's cool.
What else? Like I hit Ringo Starr a couple years ago in Baltimore.
Nice.
But yeah, I'm also like I'm trying to take my camera into smaller spaces too, and like, like up and coming bands and DIY venues, they need photo love too. So, I am generally trying to get paid these days when I'm gonna go out and do some concert photography, but for friends and for like things that I just think are cool and deserve to be documented, I'm certainly like I'm trying to like keep the photographer in me alive and not be a total capitalist about it. you know.
It's hard when everything costs money.
Yeah, yeah. And again, it's just about I really am trying to like protect my time and make sure I have, time to like play music, and time to like sit around and do nothing, and time to go out for dinner with my wife, and like time to pet my cat. It's all very important. I mean, there's always time to pet the cat, but
Always time to pet the cat.
you know
That's what
yeah,
I've learned with being like myself, being a creative and being so, pretty much everyone in my life and in my orbit is a musician or an artist or a whatever, creative in some sense. And that is something that a lot of us creatives, I think, have the biggest problem with is doing nothing.
mm, oh yeah,
And then we come back to that, the minimalist and, not having to constantly fill it with noise and notes
yeah,
and things and whatever, is those moments are actually way more necessary and productive to creatives like us
yeah.
than trying to sit there and just get the words out, just hammer, like I've learned that in
Yeah,
my own sort of thing and dealing with musicians and everybody else is like that time is so necessary, even more now with the
yeah,
over inundation of everything.
yeah,
But especially being a creative and someone who writes music or writes words or paints or does art or anything like that, or jewelry and like what your wife does. I mean, like you
yeah,
have to have that space of nothingness
yeah.
because otherwise any of those other things you want are not going to come. It's not going to happen.
And it is so hard to quiet those voices sometimes, because like I'll be like, oh, okay, I'm just gonna like chill tonight, and then it's like, but you could relearn the guitar solo to Stairway to Heaven, or like,
It's always like the most
you know,
extreme, like,
or like,
you could
yeah,
replant that whole garden in the backyard,
right, yeah,
Sarah.
yeah.
Like,
Oh, there's those photos you took when you were in Yosemite 2 years ago. You didn't edit that many. Why don't you go back to that batch?
yeah,
Um, yeah, like yeah, I think when you're a creative, and especially when it's not your primary source of income, you have a never-ending to-do list, and I think it's just a matter of like recognizing that you're never going to get to a point where it's all done. And I don't know. And it's kind of motivating too, because, for me, I'm not the guitar player I'd like to be. I'm happy with my playing, but like there's always room for improvement. So for me, I just try to like turn this into like motivation, and just like, a way to sort of guide my practices, and to just guide my overall energy. Like rather than like, oh, you're not good enough, you didn't learn enough things, and you need to play jazz again and all this stuff. It's like, all right, cool, we'll just like let's unpack that and tackle little bits and pieces as we can. There's only so many hours in the day, and so I think it's just like it's all about balancing it and moving things forward as you can.
Totally. The
Yeah.
best ways to get to know yourself and work through your crap. Become a parent,
Mm.
become a creative,
Mm-hmm.
or become a small business owner.
Mm.
And I am currently living in all three. So you can only imagine the personal development that happens
Yeah.
all the time.
I'll show you what you're made of for sure. Yeah.
Definitely. Like
Yeah.
none of those things are for the faint of heart at all.
Yeah. Yeah.
Especially being a creative, like having these ideas and then trying to convince yourself you're not crazy and then bringing it into the world and then everybody loves it and you're like, "See, I told you."
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Told you it was going to be
Yeah.
awesome.
Yeah. Yeah. There's a lot of all your insecurities will come to the surface when you're putting yourself out there.
Totally.
Yeah.
Glaring,
But it's a
glaring.
it's a great way to squash them, really is. Yeah.
Totally.
Yeah.
100%. Well, this has been so awesome.
Yeah, thank you. It's been really great talking to you, and thanks for letting me ramble. I think this is like the deepest anyone's ever gone with my musical rambling, so it is
I
much
love it.
appreciated.
Well, you've listened to other episodes, you know we like to get into it on here. I like to talk. My dad is smiling from whatever ethos beyond this one you believe in. He would, first of all, he would love everything that I'm doing with music and guitars and all of that. But he would just think it's great that I finally found an outlet where I can talk all the time.
Awesome.
He would be
Awesome.
like, that's great. Well,
Yeah.
before I let you go,
Mm.
please let everybody know where they can find you, your photography, your
Yeah.
bands, all the things on social media, the interwebs, all that.
Sure, yeah. So the photography is Marc Shapiro Media, and that is Mark with a C. Um, I recently created the Greasy Hands, no, the Infinite Drift Instagram, and I have to double check if it's Infinite Drift Band or music. I feel like one of them was taken. It is Infinite Drift Band. There you have it.
Perfect.
And Greasy Hands Band, so that's easy to remember. Infinite Drift Band, Greasy Hands Band. We're both on Facebook too, greasyhands.com, or is it Greasy Hands? I think it's greasyhands.com. You'll
I'll
find
link
your way to it one
everything
way or
to real
another.
nice and easy for everybody.
Yeah,
Show
yeah,
notes and
yeah.
stuff. So
So, yeah, that is I think that's all my things.
perfect. I
Yeah.
love that. Awesome. And
Yeah.
you did none of this music is on any streaming platforms yet. Like
Oh,
nobody would be able to find you there.
Greasy Hands old recordings. So well, it's funny. From my old stint in the band, I am on some of these. But Greasy Hands is on like all the streaming services, yeah.
Okay.
But it is not the current iteration. And Greasy Hands has been through many, many changes. Some of these songs are like quite like singer-songwritery vibes. That was the front man in the lineup at the time. Um, so we're not so much in that realm anymore. So it's kind of funny because when people like look up the band, and this is why we so desperately want to put some new music out, is because it's a bit of like a hodgepodge, like what's on streaming right now. But there is like I think the last recording that came out, a lot of those songs like we still play. So I'll point you in the direction of that and send you. But yeah, Greasy Hands is on all the streaming services and whatnot.
Okay.
So yeah.
Perfect.
As
Awesome.
are my old bands. I wouldn't mind linking to the old bands too, because that stuff you can find too. Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah, I
totally.
could send you that stuff. Yeah, the Res has an EP, and then the album we made right before we broke up. We also changed our name, so it's under a different name. But yeah, I'll send you all that stuff.
Yeah,
Yeah.
totally send me everything and then I'll throw all the links in there and then when I do like my whole release, we'll
Yeah.
shout everybody out. You know I love it. So
Awesome. Cool.
awesome. Well, thank you so, so, so much. This was so much fun.
Yeah, yeah. No, I had a blast. Yeah, thank you, Sarah. Really appreciate it.
Of course, of course. Let me know if you need anything else or if I can be of any help to anything you've got going on. I've got some pretty epic PR skills. So
Cool.
if
Well,
y'all
yeah,
need any help with any of that, hit me up.
awesome. Yeah, same goes for me, really. Yeah.
Definitely. I will. I might need to hit you up. I don't have a photographer in Baltimore.
Oh, right on. I got you.
So there you go. We could
Cool.
totally work in that capacity too. I think that might be fun.
Yeah, definitely. Sounds great.
Awesome. Well, you will definitely be hearing from me anyways, but also on some other things. So
All right. Great.
awesome. Have a great rest of your day.
All right, you too. Thanks, Sarah.
Bye.
Bye.
Thank you so much for joining me for today's episode. Please be sure to leave a review of the show. It would mean so much to me, and it helps get this podcast into the ears of even more fellow music fans. If you're not already following the show on social media, find us on Facebook and Instagram at Dropped Among This Crowd Podcast, or check out datcmediacompany.com for more. Thank you again. I'll see you around these parts real soon. Mad love.